This video, I'm going to speak about why we cannot take a knee for the racist. Now, I woke up this morning and I understand why I'm here. I understand why my YouTube income is tanking. It's because at this point in my life, my purpose here, especially on YouTube, is not for the money. My purpose is to stand up for what's right. And many times when you make too much money, it's hard to do what's right because you're motivated by the right thing to say and the wrong thing to say, and you don't want to lose money. But I've already lost a lot of money. So basically what it is that you have to stand up for what's right. Sometimes it's not about the money. And this is my opportunity. I have a platform, and people look at me, I'm not black, but I'm Chinese, Hong Kong American, and I've lived here all my life in America, and I suffered racism my entire life here in America. So I can definitely relate to what the black struggle is. I grew up, my best friends growing up were black, and that's who I am in the inside, honestly. Is I'm part of this struggle. So my wife is black. My school, my martial arts school is in a black neighborhood. And I can, one of my biggest inspiration growing up is Tupac. My biggest inspiration growing up also was Michael Jordan. So as a Hong Kong American, you don't really have that many people that look like you to look up to when you grow up. So I looked up to a lot of African Americans. So when I see them going through this type of struggle, it's like I relate, and I fight, I learned a lot from blacks. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and all that, and all these great entertainers and artists. And even when I was an officer, you see the discrimination that the blacks go through, and it's tough to see. So with this thing going on, with these protests, this is what's going through my mind. It's like that football player took a knee, and to symbolize, we need to stop this police brutality, and we need to change. We need to have, treat blacks with respect and give equal treatment. He's sick of seeing all these killings of black people by the hands of the police, and he took that knee, sacrificed his entire career to take that knee repetitively, to make a stance. So for him, obviously, it's not about the money, it's about doing what's right. And he sacrificed a lot by taking that knee, to make a statement against racism. It's a very powerful statement. I would say that he's similar to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a non-violent approach. Everybody's standing up, saluting the flag, and he's just taking a knee no, I can't salute like that because I don't feel, my heart is not telling me that this is the right thing to do. There's too many injustices going around in this world to salute the flag. I don't feel right inside. So he took the knee, and it's a powerful statement. And the NFL is like never the same. Now they're debating, whether or not to say, hey, if people take a knee, should we kick them off the NFL or whatever the case may be? And then people start doing it in other sports and things of that nature. So it's having a trickling effect where people are taking a knee to stand against racism, right? And mistreatment. Okay, so that was then. But then this is now. So what's going on now? Alright, so you got that white officer, ironically, ends up killing the a black person while being on one knee. Now that right there is a powerful statement as well, and is basically using the same symbol of what the football player did to go on one knee. This person killed, this white police officer killed a black man being on one knee. Putting his knee in the back of his neck until he couldn't breathe, and then he eventually passed away, for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So that becomes a symbol of that event, of that occurrence, being on one knee. Okay, so now you have what the football player stood for, and now you have what actually happened in the streets. A white police officer who killed a black man being on one knee. He used that one knee, that knee technique, that lunge technique to kill somebody. Okay, so now, as a protester who's protesting against racism, against that occurrence, like, why would you choose to go on one knee based on the current situation of what just happened? Like, I understand going on one knee back when the football player made the statement before this killing occurred, because you're trying to stand behind the football player and stand for what he did, and you want to stand for that. But now this is a new thing that just happened. A white police officer put his knee down into a black man and killed him. So now when you take that knee, it can be miscommunicated to the public that either you want to be like that white police officer because you're doing what he did, going down on one knee, and that you support that type of behavior or action. And that's not a good thing. Like, you don't want things to be miscommunicated to the public of what you stand for. And there's a lot of articles out there that's indicating that there are white men, that are mocking what happened by taking a knee. So there's an article out there where a white person was basically taking a knee and mocking the situation, and then FedEx ended up firing him because he was mocking the situation. So they fired him for taking a knee. Okay, so another situation is in Wisconsin. There's a gym that came up with some workout program called I Can't Breathe. And their symbol for that workout is a person taking a knee. And they got in trouble for that. So, like, they using that symbol, these people that are racist are using this symbol to mock the situation. And there's another article out there showing a white man, basically putting his face on the ground or his head on the ground, telling his friend to put the knee in the back of his neck and say, hey, you know, I'm okay. It's not a big deal. So he told his friend to put the knee in the back of his neck and just basically making fun of the situation. You know, so there are racists out there that will not, you know, that will mock the whole situation by taking that knee. And you do not want to be associated with these people that are doing that. So by you taking that knee, when somebody sees you do that, they don't know if you are doing that as mocking it, or you're doing it because you want to be like this white officer that killed this black man, and that you want to do what he's doing. They don't know if there's that, or if you're trying to do the football player thing, which is way back then. That happened back then. This is now. This is what's going on now. Now, the symbol of what just happened is that knee. So you don't want to take that knee if you stand against racism. So what happens is that we need to come up with a different symbol to symbolize the movement. You know, and I was talking to my friend about it last night, and I was saying we should go back to the symbol of what they did back in the past with the Black Panthers, where they just put the fist up. You know, like, you are standing strong, and this is your symbol to show that you are against the racism, that you don't take that. You're fighting against that. This is a powerful symbol. You know, this is strength. You know, and even in the martial arts, you got the yang, you got the yin. They're supposed to come together and balance in harmony. And then this will represent peace because they come together. But this right here, you know, this fist is for change. This fist is power. This fist is strength. And that you're not taking that. You're gonna fight. So this symbol is, I'm gonna fight. You know, and I'm gonna fight against racism. And you stand strong and you fight. You don't kneel down to the ground. Because basically, what these racists, what they want you to do, they want you to kneel down to the ground. They want you to surrender. They want you to just submit. Like, no, we're not submitting. We're fighting. You know, and I've been training all my life to fight. You know, and I'm here to fight against racism. You know, and this is a fight, and this is a struggle. Think about the other times you take the knee. You know, I just thought about it this morning. When you want to marry a woman, what do? You take a knee. That's the tradition. You take the knee, you're on bended knee. It's almost like you're begging for them to accept you. You know, so that's like surrendering. So this, right now, if you're trying to fight against racism, this is not a time to surrender. So you do not want to take that knee. You know, and it's like bowing down to the racists. Like, you cannot bow down to the racists, because then they already think that they're superior to you because of their race. They think that they're already superior to you already. So now when you bow down on top of that, it makes them just even feel more powerful and more like reason to push you down further. That's how racists are. That's how narcissists think. If they see you surrender, they see any type of weakness, they're gonna crush you. They're not going to have compassion, be like, oh, you know, let me give you a hand, let me help you back up. No, they're gonna be like, oh, you bowed down? Okay, yeah, like, let me kill you now. That's what racists do. They just want to eliminate all minorities of what they see as a threat. Because in their mind, if they don't eliminate you, there's a potential that you might come back and overtake them. This is their mentality. This is how they think. So you cannot show, like, you cannot go on that knee and submit to that. You have to stand strong, you know, and that's what we need. We need a symbol that is not weak. Just like everybody, they always admire the lions, the tigers. They admire the strength and the power. Look at Black Panthers. They're not talking about black pandas. You know what I'm saying? They're not talking about black turtles. They're talking about Black Panthers. You know, strong, powerful cats. You know, I got, you know, the tiger form and everything, and you know, it's about strength. So we, you know, that's basically what needs to happen. People need to stand strong and protest, continue to protest, but do it in a peaceful way, you know. But at the same time, you have to see how powerful these symbols are. And even there's articles out there even showing like the NYPD where some of the higher ups took a knee, and they supposedly were supposed to, you know, they said they were encouraged to do so by the protesters, and then later on they took that back and said, you know what, like, this was not right. We can't take a knee. Like, we'll never take a knee. Like, this is not what we do, and this goes against all our values, and so on and so forth. But the thing is like, they're the officers. They're even in a supervisor position, and they are refusing. They're acknowledging to themselves that no, we're not gonna take a knee for nobody, and this is wrong. We're so disappointed in myself. I'm disgusted in myself. So they're talking about how bad it is for them to take a knee, and these are like officers, and then they even said, the Chicago police, they're saying, hey, if any of y'all take a knee, you're gonna get fired. So they're taking a stance that they're not gonna take the knee. So then when you got minorities who are not officers, they're just civilians, and then they willingly take the knee, they're basically surrendering. The officers like, we're not taking the knee. You know, we're gonna put you guys down. And then they're like, well, you know, as a civilian, once you take the knee, you're surrendering. You know, and that right there is not the right symbol. Not at this time. You know, during the time of the football player and what he did, you know, that right there was a powerful statement, because everybody's standing, and he needed to do something to get that attention, to show, hey, you know, there's still something very wrong going out there, and I'm not proud of my flag at this moment, or of this anthem and what this flag represents. I'm not proud of that because of all these social injustices. That time then was back then, but we are here right now, and this is a different time. You know, what just happened, ironically, is a white officer just killed a black man by going on that knee. And that right there is something like, that symbol of what happened is ingrained and etched into people's minds. So once you take that knee, you're bringing the people's minds back to just what happened. And you don't want to be like that officer. You don't want to abuse your power. You don't want to kill somebody, you know, by bending down into that knee. You know, back in the day, I mean, people, they say you want to be like Mike. You know, people, you know, Michael Jordan sticks out his tongue, you stick out your tongue. You know, we tend to emulate the people that we want to be like. So you got this white officer that just killed a black man going on that one knee. You do not want to emulate that white officer. You know, so you don't want to go on that knee. But you want to represent strength and power, and you want to show that you're against racism, that this is wrong. What that officer did to that black man is wrong, and we need to change. And you want to symbolize that change. And what I'm saying, what the Black Panthers were doing back in that time, that's power, you know. And their symbol is just that fist, you know, to show, hey, you know, we're in the struggle, and we're going to continue to fight. We're going to fight against racism, you know. And I'm not saying to fight violently. I'm talking about fighting peacefully, but standing strong while you fight against this, because you will need to stand. I mean, you cannot lay down or go on one knee and expect that you're going to be able to put up a good fight. You know, you look at football players, they stand up and they're mobile when they're on the field, and then when they get tackled, then they can't do anything. So, you know, once the knee hits the ground, it's considered, hey, you know, they're down. So you notice that a football player, they're getting ready, the quarterback, once he takes the knee, boom, then the whole down is over. Then you gotta wait for the next down. So, like, you don't want to go on that knee. You know, as a football player, you're trying to get to the touchdown. You don't want to go on your knee. You want to be on your feet. You want to stand. Look at basketball players. They're standing up. They're not on their knee. Once they get on their knee, they're in trouble. You know, so you want to continue to move, continue to fight, to move forward. Getting to that touchdown is basically like, hey, you know, we need to overcome this racism, so we need to struggle, we need to work hard, we need to run fast, we need to stand strong, and we can't let people knock us down, we can't let people knock us over, you know. So you don't want to be on that knee. In boxing, you know, you're boxing, you're on your feet, you're punching, you're fighting, and your whole objective is not to get knocked down to the ground. Your whole objective is not to get on that knee. If you get on that knee, that's when they start the countdown. And then once they start the countdown, they get to 10, then you're done. You know, so you're thinking about, you know, you got this racist opponent, and you gotta stand up, you gotta fight, because that's the only way that, like, that there's gonna be any change, is fighting against racism. And like I said, not in a violent way. That's not gonna work, you know, but in a peaceful way, but have strength in your fight, you know. And just think about these symbols and what they symbolize, you know. Like, that's what I gotta say about that. You know, there's a lot coming in, and I don't want it coming out, and I don't want it to come out in the wrong way. But once again, I would reiterate, we have to do it peacefully. But think about these things when you do these things. Like, what does it mean? Don't just follow along and do what everybody else is doing without thinking. You need to stop and think. You know, and the objective of this video is just simply to get you to think. You know, like, what is the proper approach, and how important symbols are in everything that we do. You know, and you look at what happened with the Nazi symbol. They took a peaceful Nazi, you know, a peaceful symbol, and then they flipped it in a certain way, and then it represent like what they were doing. So this knee that the football player took is a peaceful approach for change. But then you got this white officer that killed this black man. They took that symbol and they flipped it and made it one of the most violent acts that we've seen in a very long time. 8 minutes 46 seconds in the back of a black man's neck, killing him on camera, with no remorse. So they took a peaceful symbol and they turned it into something very ugly. So it's like, we gotta see that. It's like basically taking the Nazi symbol and then putting it up and then saying, hey, I'm not racist, but then why you got that symbol up then? Why you got the Nazi signs up? So it's like, if you stand against racism, then why are you on that knee? Think about that. So that's all I want to say. And shout out to Ron, my friend, for motivating me to put this video out. And continue to fight against racism. Because that's the only way that there will be any change. When you're dealing with narcissists, they have no compassion. Narcissists and racists, they have no compassion. You have to fight in order to gain their respect. There will not be change without the fight. I'm not talking about a violent fight. I'm talking about like a peaceful way of fighting against injustices, which is protesting. So everybody out there who's put in that effort to protest, I give you a lot of respect, and I give you a lot of props for putting your time into standing up for what's right. Thank you all for protesting these injustices out there. Thank you.